announced the rescheduling of all the Islanders' postponed games for the season. We'll take you behind the new schedule and what it means for the Islanders as they head down the stretch. Plus, we have our weekly farm report, and a former Islanders captain and coach is our Islanders birthday of the day. All that and a whole lot more coming up on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. So glad you could join us today and be part of the Locked On Islanders family. And thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, and that does now include YouTube. So check us out. Schedule. And all of the postponed games have now been rescheduled, and we're going to take you behind that, explain what it is that the schedule revisions mean for this Islanders team as they have 50 games remaining to play in this 2021-2022 season. We'll talk about how it affects them, what it'll mean down the stretch, and for their playoff chances. We also have our weekly farm report. We usually do it Wednesday, but we pushed it back to today. So we'll talk all things Bridgeport as the Bridgeport Islanders continue to play better hockey as of late. And we have our Islanders birthday of the day and a whole lot more. If you've got something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment on something we said, or a topic you'd like us to talk about on the show, feel free to email us. The email address, as always, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You could also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. And I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So the schedule has been revised and it has been announced. Not always going to be easy. The NHL taking advantage of what was that 3-week Olympic break, which has now been canceled because NHL players won't be going to the Olympics. Here is the revised schedule for the Islanders. And we'll fill this in chronological order. So if you have a calendar, you want to fill this in. February 9th, the Islanders will be in Vancouver. That game originally supposed to be January 5th. 2 nights later, February 11th, Islanders in Edmonton. That was originally supposed to be January 8th. And then the following night, February 12th, they will be in Calgary. February 15th, Islanders in Buffalo. February 17th, they will host the Boston Bruins. February 20th, Montreal coming to the UBS Arena. February 22nd, now the Islanders will make their first ever visit to Seattle to take on the Kraken. Then in March 10th, the Islanders will host the Columbus Blue Jackets. March 22nd, they will host the Ottawa Senators. March 24th, they will host the Red Wings. And then in April, 3 games to be made up. April 12th, Islanders will face the Pittsburgh Penguins at the UBS Arena. April 28th, they will face the Capitals in Belmont. And then the last game of the season, April 29th, the Islanders will host Tampa Bay Lightning. So not an easy. And here's the overall situation. 3 days left on the schedule, and you have to play 50 games. It really is sort of like playoff mode. If you make that run all the way to the final, maximum number of games you could play is 28 or series each. That's about to do that for 28 games. Now this I 50, and consider that the NHL top to bottom average age. So that is a tough one. Now the Islanders did have an 8-game road trip scheduled for April. That is no longer an 8-game road trip. It's a 5-game road trip now. And look, 2 of those 5 games in April that we're talking about are road games against the Devils and the Rangers. So this is manageable. But what it's going to be now is 5 road games, Rangers, Devils, then the Stars, Hurricanes, and Blues. Then you home the Penguins, and then back on Pittsburgh, Montreal, and Toronto. The first 2 games road trip are local games that they could take a bus to. As far as Rangers and Devils, that does make the trip a little bit easier for everyone. It's going to be condensed and it's going to be tough. Now, backs, how many of the Islanders have left? 100 days, 50 games, 11 back-to-backs. 11 back-to-backs. So is not, those do feature road games in the midst of it. So how is that going to affect this Islanders team? You have to figure that at some point, some of these veteran players, whether it's Andy Green or Zdeno Chara or Zach Parise, the older guys on this roster are going to need some time off. And, we talked about this. We answered the listener email yesterday, and we talked about, well, what's the future when Ryan Pulock comes back for a younger player like Robin Salo? And, who sits when Kyle Palmieri comes back? Guy like Robin Salo, when you're playing that many back-to-backs with older players, you want to keep sharp. They should be able to find games where a guy like Robin Salo or Sebastian Aho or Kiefer Bellows, if it's who sits when Palmieri comes back, they should be worked into a rotation so some of these veteran players don't have to play all of these back-to-back games, especially during long trips. But we'll see. That is going to be a decision that Barry Trotz and Mint are going to have to make. But that's the schedule. And one other point I want to make about this schedule, the way the NHL has it set up, season's still going to end April 29th. They're still on schedule to end on time. But right now, there is zero margin for error for the New York Islanders. They absolutely cannot have many more games postponed without the season extending beyond the April 29th scheduled end date. So we've got more to get to on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. We'll have our weekly farm report as we'll talk all things Bridgeport Islanders. We have our Islanders birthday of the day and a lot more. All that still to come on the Locked On Islanders podcast. This episode is brought to you by your friends at betonline.ag. BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. It's a new year and they've got a new updated desktop and mobile website, so sign up today and you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to get started. That's locked on, one word, and yes, betonline.ag will give you that 50% welcome bonus just because you listen to the Locked On Islanders podcast. And use that promo code Locked On. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Time now for the report. We'll talk all things Bridgeport Islanders. The Islanders had only 2 games last week, both on the road. And with those 2 games, by the way, they are now past the halfway mark of their schedule. And the Islanders split those 2 games Wednesday of last week. They end up with a 4-3 shootout win in Hershey. So a nice 2-point road effort. And that made them 3-0-2-1 in their last 6 games. So the Islanders having a nice little unbeaten streak. Seth Helgeson, Paul Thompson, and Eric Brown get the goals in regulation, and the shootout winner goes to Michael Dal-Cole, who was the only player to tally in the shootout. Jakub Skarek's 27-save effort got him his 3rd straight win. Bridgeport trailed 2-0 early on, but managed to come back and earn the W. They had Friday and Saturday off, which is very rare for an AHL team, but the road trip continued in Providence Sunday against the Bruins, and unfortunately a 6-3 loss for the Islanders in that one. Andreoff, Blade Jenkins, and Sam Bolduc each scoring, but the second period was the Islanders' undoing. They gave up 5 goals and ended up losing that one 6-3 to end the unbeaten streak. But a busy weekend ahead for the Bridgeport Islanders. They have 3 games. 2 of them will be at home. Friday night, January 21st, they head back up to Providence to take on the Providence Bruins. That's a 7:05 Eastern start right now. In Providence, they are 0-1-0-1 so far this year. Overall against Providence, 2 wins, 2 losses, and 2 shootout losses. The following day, Saturday, is a home game against Providence. That's a 7 o'clock Eastern time start at Webster Bank Arena. And it is a nice little giveaway for hockey night in Connecticut. Then on Sunday, January 23rd, the Springfield Thunderbirds come to town, and they will be having a Wizard-themed game there. So kind of exciting there, and should be a good weekend of hockey. And Bridgeport now in 7th place in the division, hoping to get back and get higher in the standings by playing some consistent hockey. Chris Terry remains the leading scorer. He leads the team with 11 goals and 26 points. Otto Koivula has 18 assists to pace the team in that category, and he has 25 points, which places him 2nd on the team. Arno Durando, 20 points. That places him 3rd. Andy Andreoff, he has 17 points, followed by Simon Holmstrom with 16. Austin Zarnik with 15, and he has those in only 20 games. Kyle McLean has 12 points, and then Mitchell Van Sompel, 12 points, all of them assists in 27 games. As far as the plus-minus is concerned, Cole Bardreau, a +5. Jeff Kubiak, center, is a +7. So those 2 players kind of pacing the team in plus-minus right now. The goaltending continues to get better right now. Jakub a 2.87 goals against average. He has a 10-8-3 record on the season and a 907 save percentage. Corey Schneider, his goals against average 3.10. He is 3-7-2 on the year and has a 904 save percentage. So the goalies, Skarek continues to have slightly better statistics than Schneider, but the important thing is they are getting more consistent. And overall, really, it's as a team, that are getting more consistent, and that as Bridgeport begins to rally and overall improve things as of right now. And the Bridgeport Islanders still fighting for a position in the Atlantic Division. They go by point percentage here in the AHL. They have a 446 point percentage right now. 37 games in, they are 13, 17, 3, and 4. That gives them 33 points and a 446 save percentage. So again, hopefully Bridgeport can continue to improve as they get more consistent. And I like what I've seen from this team. And, you know, when the Islanders suffered all those injuries, so many players from Bridgeport got called up. That certainly affected the AHL version of the Islanders. But busy 3-game weekend. Providence is in first place, so that's not an easy situation. They got 2 games against the Providence Bruins. And if they can get, let's say, 3 out of 4 possible points, that would make for a very good weekend there in the home and home against Providence. All right, we've got more to get to on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. We'll have our Islanders birthday of the day and then a little something about Zdeno Chara that I wanted to mention from the game on Tuesday against the Philadelphia Flyers. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. We are a day early with this one, but I wanted to wish a very happy 51st birthday to former Islanders center, captain, and coach Doug Weight. Weight, a native of Detroit, Michigan, originally drafted by the Rangers in the second round back in 1990, played his college hockey at Lake Superior State, joined the Rangers for 1 game in the 1990-91 playoffs, and really became a full-time player in 91-92. Was traded at the trade deadline to Edmonton in 92-93, was a big part of the Oilers organization, then went on to play for the Blues, the Hurricanes, where he won a Stanley Cup in 2005, 2006, and then back to the Blues, to the Ducks, and then his final 3 seasons in the league with the New York Islanders. He was the captain. His big problem when he joined the Islanders in 2008, 2009 was staying healthy. He had 10 goals and 38 points in 53 games that first season with the Isles, then only played 36 games the following year, 1 goal, 17 points, and 18 games in 2010, 2011, 2 goals, 9 points. But what a career Doug Weight had. 1,238 games played, 278 goals, 1,033 points, 970 penalty minutes. In the playoffs, 97 games, 23 goals, 72 points. And I mentioned again that he did win the Stanley Cup. Ended up coaching the Islanders in 2017, 2018. Went 35, 37, and 10. Did not make the playoffs. But I'll tell you, always, anytime that I had the good fortune to speak to Doug Weight, whether it was part of a multi-reporter scrum or a one-on-one interview, he was thoughtful. He didn't give you those cliched answers that so many athletes tend to give. And it was always a pleasure talking to Doug Weight. He was a stand-up guy, and certainly wish him well, even though his coaching tenure with the Islanders did not necessarily work out the way he had hoped. We're going to look at one of Doug Weight's better games as an Islander, October 16th, 2008, at the St. Pete Times Forum in Tampa. Islanders playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. Joey McDonald, the netminder for the Islanders. Olaf Kolzig in between the pipes for the Lightning, and it was the Islanders scoring first. Mike Comrie getting them on the board just 2 minutes and 47 seconds into the game. His second from Kyle Oposo and Bruno Gervais, 1-0 Islanders. That was the score after 1. In the second period, Doug Weight, our Islanders' birthday of the day, gets a power play goal with Andre Mazaros in the box. Weight his second from Bill Guerin and Franz Nielsen at 13:54. Islanders up 2-0. That was the only scoring in the second period. But in the third, the Lightning strike quickly Vincent Lecavalier, his second from Vinny Prospal, and Meszaros at 343 makes it 2-1. And then Prospal, his first from Martin St. Louis and Meszaros. And then it's all of a sudden a 2-2 game, 12 minutes and 2 seconds into the final period. Islanders do answer, though. Trent Hunter, his third from Jeff Tambellini and Mike Comrie at 13:51 makes it 3-2 Islanders. But the Lightning didn't give up either. Ryan Malone is first from Jussi Jokinen and Yanni Niskala at 14:57. We go to overtime, all deadlocked at 3. But in the overtime, Trent Hunter, his fourth from Franz Nielsen, just 51 seconds in. The Islanders with a 4-3 overtime win. Joey McDonald, 33 saves to earn the victory. Both teams with 36 shots on goal in this game. For Doug Weight, Islanders' birthday of the day, the goal, it was a power play goal, and he had 4 shots on goal, which tied him with 3 other players for the lead in this game. Weight played 21 minutes and 20 seconds in this contest. Doug Weight, stand-up guy, good offensive player in his prime, a leader, a captain of the Islanders, later a coach of the Islanders. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day, and Friday will be his 51st birthday. Happy birthday to Doug Weight. Wanted to talk a little bit about Zdeno Chara, getting into a fight during the game, one of the 2 games against the Flyers. And look, when you're 6'9", you're going to win a lot of fights. You've got a reach advantage. You've got a strength advantage. And he ends up winning the fight. I believe it was against McEwen. And after he pretty much pummels him, stops and asks him, "Are you okay?" And I just love that because, the thing about hockey fights, and this was even true years ago when there were a lot more of them, there is a code. And very rarely will you see someone try to hurt an opponent. And, Chara could have kept punching. He didn't. And, there's a mutual respect when guys drop the gloves and go at it. And for McEwen, my gosh, going up against a big guy like Zdeno Chara takes a lot of courage. And I give him credit and credit to Zdeno Chara for not taking advantage of him, not hurting him, and just, again, asking, "Are you okay?" After the fight was done. It's one of those strange things that happen in hockey fights, but, just wanted to bring it up and mention it while we had a minute to do that. We will be back to talk about, including a preview of this weekend, 2 games, starting with the Friday game at home against the Arizona Coyotes, as the Islanders have a chance to make up some more ground. And then Saturday, the Maple Leafs come to town with some guy named John Tavares. So we'll preview both of those games tomorrow, and we'll have all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. And, of course, our Islanders' birthday of the day. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets. It's your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets is hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. That does it for this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Have a great day, everybody. Stay, and of course, let's go Islanders.